The UCSD Center for Mindfulness offers clinical care, training, research, and outreach to further the practice and inclusion of mindfulness into all aspects of society. This weekend, they're hosting a conference with a focus on mindfulness in children and teens. Executive Director at the center, Dr. Stephen Hickman, and Dr. Amy Saltzman, Director of the Association for Mindfulness in Education, are here with the details. And welcome to Evening Edition.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Dr. Hickman, what is mindfulness, and is it the same thing as meditation?
It's a good question. I like to define it as moment-to-moment, non-judgmental awareness. So that's each moment that this is it. This is where we are, even though our minds have this ability to go elsewhere. Non-judgmental, letting go of that in a particular way, and really just being aware is the foundation of awareness. And it's a quality of mind, a quality of human capacity. And meditation is just one means of cultivating that moment-to-moment awareness.
And getting that focus. What type of research is being done on this practice, and what are some of the prominent findings?
Well, there's research across the board, from very simple sort of self-report measures where people are reporting less pain or less anxiety, to studies of the brain and changes that happen in the brain, the immune system, even at the cellular and genetic level, where things are changing as a result of the systematic practice of mindfulness.
Okay, we'll come back to that a little bit, but Dr. Saltzman, I want to start with you with the focus on children. You've actually written a book and developed a mindfulness program called A Still Quiet Place that's specifically for children and teens. What kind of stressors does this particular program address? Because a lot of people might think kids and teens don't have much stressors.
A lot of kids and teens, unfortunately, do have stressors, and they have the ordinary, everyday stressors of homework, peers, family, often coupled with very heavy extracurricular schedules. And then many of them are struggling with learning differences such as ADHD, anxiety, depression, cutting, eating disorders, and even suicidal thinking.
Walk us through, if you would, how this program, this mindfulness program, might work in a classroom setting.
So when I work in classrooms, I come in for the class period, 45 to 50 minutes, and introduce children to what I call the still quiet place. And that's simply inviting them to feel the expansion of the in-breath and the release of the out-breath, and then to feel the still quiet place, or the little pause between the in-breath and the out-breath. And that's kind of home base for them. And once they learn to rest their attention in the still quiet place, they can begin to observe their thoughts and feelings and not take them so personally or seriously.
In a word, is it being practiced at local schools already?
Yes, it is being practiced at local schools.
Because that brings me to Dr. Hickman. On a group of parents lost their lawsuit last year against Encinitas City Schools to end school yoga classes. They had concerns that the yoga was inherently religious. How do you respond to concerns that mindfulness could be linked to religion as well?
Well, if you look back on what I just described and what Amy also described about what mindfulness is, we were talking about awareness, attention, being present, being able to stay in the moment, all very human capacities that are available to all of us and have no particular association with any spiritual or religious practice. And there are people who have associations with the practice of meditation or what yoga looks like, and think of it as associated with a spiritual practice. But really at the foundation, we're just cultivating this quality of mind.
Well, some might say that mindfulness as a practice is simply a behavior modification technique. Do you think it is?
In a way, but it's not I think it's something more fundamental. It's really getting us back in touch with how things are, and to be able to see what is it that we most want. You think about behaviors we want to change. You know, if we want to quit smoking, or we want to eat differently, or we want to exercise more. We do really want those things, even though many times we don't actually put them into place. And mindfulness can connect us to what's important to us to make the better choices, whether it's children making good choices or adults making choices that we know are good for us.
And let me direct this to you, Dr. Saltzman. How long do you have to practice mindfulness, as far as kids, teens, adults, to actually, until you see results?
Well, I would say that often results are quite prompt, and people, children, adults, can have epiphanies in a moment of mindfulness. And then there is definitely advantage to practicing longer and becoming more and more aware of your habits of thinking, feeling, and behaving, so that, again, you have more choice about your behavior.
All right, Dr. Saltzman and Dr. Hickman, thank you so much for talking with us about this. And I want to let folks know that the conference, Bridging the Hearts and Minds of Youth, Mindfulness in Clinical Practice, Education and Research, starts on Friday night at 7 p.m. with a public lecture at Paradise Point Hotel. For more information and ticket prices, go to kppbs.org.